So let's get to the camera you have set up, the one in Sidney that's pointed at the nest there. First of all, what can you tell us about that eagle family that's there, and obviously this latest development with
well,
the baby?
the Sidney eagles are in a sense, the world's most famous bald eagles. This is the pair on which the first wildlife cam watched them raise their young and fledge the young, and it's the camera which had like 55 million people one week or 1 month. So they've still got a number of followers, and when we have a problem like we have right now with one of the eaglets caught by a toe or a foot, we can't tell, on probably a fish line, but we can't tell that. And it's hung up and it can't move from one side of the nest to the center of the nest. And while there's 3 chicks in the nest, the biggest one is the one that's caught. And his name is Donald Flyer. He has a hyphenated name, Donald Flyer. The other ones are called Snuggles and oh gee, now I can't remember the name.
Burrows.
Burrows. Thank you. Burrows. Burrows. It's named after, because he burrows under the parents, but he's also named after apparently a Canuck star. Anyway, so we have the 3 eaglets in that nest. The biggest one has some kind of an impediment around a talon or the foot, and he can't move properly. Now, he is the biggest. He's about 5 weeks old. He's quite durable. I mean, he's already 5.5, 6 pounds. So he has a good chance of surviving because the parent was feeding. And it appears that it may be only a toe that's caught, not the whole foot. So there's not the danger, we don't think, of losing a leg or something like that. But we wanted to perform a rescue, and the people who own the property, the Epicure company, said, oh yeah, do what you need to save the animal. So they approved, and I'm sure Fish and Wildlife, who've been cooperative in all these things, if there's a real serious need to save a bird, well then they've given us permission always before. And the third thing is then getting in the big crane. This tree is a dead tree. I've been up it many times with a crane, but every time you even just lightly touch a branch, it just snaps off. This tree has been dead for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. It's not a tree that you could climb with a climber. It's just too dangerous. But going up with the big crane is quite fun. The problem is, and I had the crane operator, the guy who owns the crane, go there, especially on Sunday. And he went in and he says, David, we'd normally take the crane in there in August or the first week of September. The ground is just way too soft. My crane would bury itself in the mud. So we simply can't get up there with the crane. So that doesn't leave a lot of options because we cannot climb this tree. It's simply too risky. So watching the bird, which is actually not that easy on the webcam right now because one of the young lifted up his tail and they fire their business. They're dropping quite horizontally or even up in the air, and they can shoot at about 10 feet, and they hit the camera dead center. So the rains have slightly washed the camera, but then they hit it a second time. Can't help these things. This is nature. And so we can't see as clearly through the camera as we'd like to see. So I was thrilled with the fact that we can go up today and look at this animal from the helicopter, this bird, because maybe I'll be able to see what the thing is hooked on. Where is the other side of the attachment, which we can't see in the film. And then, if it dries out in 10 days, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, I mean, this is the first sunny day. We had to look up what this is. It's called the sun. You know, we have just didn't know what it was. So if over the next couple of weeks it dries out, then this big crane will probably get on there. And it's quite possible this chick can survive that. And that's we all want to come up with alternatives. We've been barnstorming ourselves and put all these efforts into resolving this. If you follow the web, you'll see a lot of really interesting selections, from building zip lines to having a herd of elephants do something. I couldn't quite understand how the herd of elephants was going to do something, but there's a lot of suggestions on how to rescue this chick. And also, in fact, maybe you would take this one up. If you were to come with us in Chopper 9, you could dangle and maybe pick the... No, I can tell by your facial reactions this is not a highlight. So
I have to ask, have you ever had to intervene in that way with any other chick?
We've had situations where we were about to, we just we just collected an egg in another nest because they had abandoned it. Both eggs broke. The one egg broke, the other was abandoned. And so it wasn't going to hatch. It was 50 days, and it should hatch at 35 days of incubation. It got to 50, and it was still there. So we knew it was bad, but the question was, can we collect it, get it analyzed, and can we learn something about what's wrong with that egg? Matter of fact, I just a few minutes ago got the analysis. I haven't even had a chance to read it because I picked it up on the way outside here about 10 minutes ago. So yes, we have been into nests, but I don't want to go into nests because it risks the birds abandoning the site. They'll never abandon their young, but they may go and move to another nest next year. And in this case, I've made a promise not to disturb the birds, but the lady who owns the property said, "Oh, you got to rescue it if you can," and that's, you know, that's fine. But this is not a good nest anyway. I mean, this is a dead tree. The tree could fall down. So when we go up this fall, August, September, when we always was dry, we go up when the birds have gone. They are migrated away from here. And we go and clean the lenses and maybe put a new camera and so on. At that time, my intent was, although I haven't asked the landowner, but I'm sure she'll go with it, I was going to find another nearby tree at the 100-foot mark and place a few key branches, get them wired in, and maybe make a foundation for another nest. Our white rock nest, the pair that are really watched the most right now, is white rock. That's a nest that we laid the foundational branches in the top of the tree, and the eagle said, "Oh, isn't that nice? Thank you," and built a nest and raised their young. So I mean, we know enough about how to alter a tree to make it good, and I think we'd try and do that and get them out of this darn dead tree because it's not a good site.
Just lastly, what if he is tangled into sort of a string or fishing line? Where would that be the construction of the nest? Is that where it would have come from? Or?
Eagles are predominantly fish feeders, but they're also predominantly scavengers. So they can find an incapacitated fish site, then they grab it. It's an easier fish. And of course, if they've been hooked by bait and they've got a plug in their mouth, and they ended up dying or floating on the surface because they're not well, there may be a broken line 10, 20, 30 feet. So it is not at all uncommon to have fish lines in eagle nests. We've had them found them, and every time I go up in the fall, I look through the nest and I try to take out whatever line there is, because almost every eagle nest has fish line in it, because it's naturally attached to a lot of the fish they find. They're wounded, incapacitated fish, perfect food for eagles. So I always take that out, and it's just a fact of life. You can't do anything about it except you hope. It's like I pick up roadkills on the side of the road and move them off into a field so another eagle isn't killed eating a roadkill. When you're along the beaches, there is something people can do, and that is pick up fish line and things like that that isn't laying on the beach. Because gulls, eagles, they all get wrapped up and it kills them. So we can keep the environment cleaner, but it's in the net, it's in all the nests, and so the best we can do is clean those pieces out.
That's great. David, I'll keep you there for a second and we'll just keep chatting for a little bit here and then I'll let you go.
You guys walking around like feeding the birds.